like we even just had a crazy conversation about decision making that I, could be really interesting. And we sort of agree on it. But I still think it will produce for us and other people, thought-provoking conversation.
That's the key and that's where I like, do you ever listen to, what's his name? Comes out every Monday, Shankar Devanka, Hidden Brain.
No.
Oh, it's one of my favorite podcasts. And I hope I didn't just butcher his name. I think I did, unfortunately.
I will not hold that against you.
But he's brilliant. He's just a really wonderful host and great interviewer. But he'll have, I think was it a Hidden Brain? Actually, I don't think that topic was Hidden Brain, but I love the format because he'll have a topic like that about decision making, but then he'll have someone on who's like done studies and can really dig into how the human brain works and why we make the decisions we make. And like the studies of why it's important to pick a partner that you want to live with, and what are the attributes that actually sustain marriages, and like what is the decision making process that we should think about.
Okay, so but let me ask you this. I hear you, but one of the things that I've learned in life is that there are many, many paths to one destination.
Totally agree.
And why do I have to pick the right partner right off? Because even though I picked the wrong partner. So did
Really,
you.
I have to, yeah.
But
and I just did again.
Oh, did you really? Oh, we'll have to discuss that for sure, just between us. But I'm just saying, I learned a lot from picking the wrong partner the first time. I learned a lot. Now, that might have been part of my decision-making process. Like for me, a decision-making process is evaluating my bad decisions and then not doing those bad things again, if I can avoid it. But I don't know. I'm not 100% convinced that I have to make that right decision right off the bat.
Totally.
I may not be that girl.
Interesting. A podcast I was actually just listening to was an Oprah's, and it's funny because I never watched her show, or very rarely.
Yeah,
like I saw a handful of episodes, but I love her podcast, Super Soul Sundays.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, it's so good. And she was just interviewing this woman who wrote this book about, basically, she talks about that we're not broken, and that it was really about just embracing like who you are. Like we love to kind of nitpick. And the fact that when you're honest and real with one another, most of the time other people have something too. It's whether they're willing or vulnerable enough to actually share.
That is why I wanted to do this right here, is because I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect at being vulnerable necessarily, but for me, was so eye-opening to me is that I'm not the only person in the world going through these little crazy things that I feel are just horrible, like overwhelming. Some of them are overwhelming to me because I live alone, because I'm getting older, and because I'm starting to forget things that happened 5 seconds earlier. And I don't know if you understand how disconcerting that can be, because who's going to take care of me? I don't have kids. My sister is older than me. She's going to go first, more than likely. So I'm like, wow, who's going to make sure I don't forget things 5 minutes from when I do them? I'm on my own here. So it's just things like that. And I'm like, oh, I'm not the only person. And oh, maybe I can calm down a little. Right. Maybe I'm not broken. Right.
Yeah.
maybe it's just, it is what it is. Like I said, getting older. And they always say getting older is not for the faint at heart. Holy shit, they're not kidding. Here, we
And,
allowed to
and
cuss
you
on our
don't have,
podcast.
and you don't have a choice, right? Like
Yeah.
I remember being in my 20s and I had he was a bit of, well, he was the one who really pushed me in my career, a little bit of a mentor, but also a dirty old man.
Oh yeah.
We were also friends, and he was Republican, I'm liberal, and we'd have these really heated conversations. And he's passed since, but one of the things I remember, he was really wealthy, like a multimillionaire, lived on Camelback Mountain in Phoenix, like, and I remember him saying to me once, the one thing I cannot buy is my youth. He
Oh
said,
my gosh. Yeah.
he said, the only thing I cannot buy is my youth. And he said, I would give up every dollar I have to trade with you right now.
Oh wow.
And I didn't really understand the impact of what he was saying because I was 25 or 26. It didn't, and I, at the time, was working full time, going to school full time. It was like, I wasn't really, quote unquote, enjoying my youth. I was working my ass off. And I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you're however old, but like you live an incredible life. Like you golf every day. Like, but that always stuck with me when he said that.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I don't know that I'd want to stay 25 years old.
I want to keep my 25-year-old body.
Yeah, me too. Shoot, I would settle for my 35-year-old body. I would take that if I had to. But, you know, it's always like when they say, you know, would you go back in time and relive your years? Hell no. Because what if I make the same freaking mistakes? Like, do I get to keep the same mind I have now at 55 and then go back? Sure. But if I got to do it again with that same knowledge level and awareness, I don't want to do it again. Why would I want to do it again? I barely lived through the first time. So I'm like, no, thanks.
That's fair.
But yes, I'd keep my 25-year-old body for sure. Although I got to tell you, I'm not thrilled to death with what I look like at this point in my life. I've got a lot of those nitpicking issues for sure. But I do like two things. I like having a goal that I've got to get under control, because I like the idea of being able to control things that I can control, right? I know I cannot control everything, but I can control my weight if I put my effort into it. So I like the idea of that challenge, and that follow through for me is, you know, I'm going to lose the weight. And I like what I get to hide behind. So it's two-sided for me, because then I can just easily say to people, I'm fucking 55 years old. What do you want from me? Right? I'm going to be old and fat, and this is it, and not care. I love having that power. And I love in the back of my mind going, but I'm going to lose the weight. And then what are you do with me? You know?
Yeah. And it's okay to have those opposing thoughts. I think that's where we get into trouble, is when we just think it has to be this one way, and it doesn't, clearly. Like there can be many options, there can be many opportunities, possibilities, and you know, we're all multidimensional. We're not all these like two-dimensional, like we're multidimensional.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, there is not a whole lot of black and white. There is for me sometimes, like in terms of what I believe and what I don't believe. Yes, I too am a liberal. I am a bleeding heart liberal, is what I tell people. And that's black and white for me. But my perspective is not black and white to someone else. And even my sister, who's as liberal as they come, and a lesbian, for crying out loud, right? And all the stuff that goes along with that. There are moments when I'm like, why are you saying this to me? What are you thinking? Because we don't necessarily see things exactly the same. But I love that, because I can get along with my sister even though we don't see things exactly the same. Even you and I've talked many times about how we're same, but different, right? Our political beliefs are very similar. You're a little more radical than I am. But
honor.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's what I like, right? That's what moves us forward in life. And I just don't want to sit in the muck. I want to move forward. And so I'm hoping, and that's why this isn't going to talk to everybody, right? What we are doing isn't going to be for everybody. And you and I both like the science part of it. Like, so I love Radiolab, you like the human brain, but 99% of the people I know, that is outside of their wheelhouse. They just want to have a conversation.
They want like Joe Rogan.
Yes. And I'm like, okay. Now, I think people learn things from Joe Rogan and they're bad things. I mean, yeah, people pick that shit up all the time and then regurgitate it. And I go, why are you listening to that man? But that's why I'm like, I want us both to feel comfortable in what we're doing. And I hope this works out because I love talking to you.
Same.
So I'm hoping it works out, but I don't know that I may not be at that really high intellectual level.
Well, neither am I, clearly.
Oh no, you're way smarter than I am. You got the degree to prove it, by the way. So and that's what I like about, that's one of the many things I like about you, right? Is you're not only are you well read, but you're able to articulate what you have read and what you believe and how you've regurgitated all that. I love that. That's what I look forward to.
Actually, one of the things I want to do this year is take like a storytelling class, because I don't feel.
Let's do Moth together. I want to do Moth.
Wanted to go to the Moth. I go to the Moth. Well, pre-pandemic, I used to go all the time. I've watched a couple on Zoom.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still good, but it's definitely different. I'd love to tell a Moth story. Just because it would be very challenging. It's not something that comes naturally.
Right. But there's many ways to practice. You live in a city where I bet there's 10,000 storytelling options to work up to the Moth.
True. And I've met a number of people, actually. This guy, David, he was at one that he won, and then we ran into each other. It was very odd. We ran into each other and we follow each other on Instagram, and we've stayed in touch. And he said there's like a group of people that get together and tell their stories and work, like there's different workshops and all things you can do. Mm-hmm.
I love it. I could totally see you doing that.
I would love to do a Moth.
Yeah, me too. I wanted to do it in Portland this is when I used to live there. And they would announce what it was like, what the theme was going to be. And then they would, you'd have to get there, stand in line, and you could put in your 2 cents, and then they draw names. But they did it in a room that maybe held 70 people in a city that prides itself on NPR listening. I mean, like, if other than New York, we're probably bigger than California in terms of our NPR listening. I'm like, you couldn't even get near the building, let alone in line to do a Moth. I was like, oh, well, I need to get here like 6 weeks before it opens up, because that's how crazy it is there. Could you not pick a bigger room? I mean,
so in years prior, pre-pandemic, I used to go once a year. The Moth host, it's like the Grand Slam.
Yes.
And it's just north of the town I used to live in Westchester, but it's a huge theater.
Yeah.
It's a huge theater. And what's wonderful, one year you'll have to come out and we'll have to go, because you of all people would so appreciate it. Mm-hmm. But the storytellers are just, the last one I went to, for example, the guy worked on is Obama's communications director
Oh, geez.
for
Okay.
his campaign. It's that level of
Yeah.
storytelling. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
I know a really good friend of mine, Danusha, has won.
Wow.
Yeah, she won, and I'll send it to you. Her story is really wonderful. I hope I still have it. I'm sure I do. And you actually win money, which I didn't know. I didn't
Oh.
realize that you win. I think you have to win to a certain level. And she said she also has companies that fly, like, for example, some lawyer heard her moth and paid her and bought her a plane ticket and got her a hotel to come and share her story to his law firm
I love it.
because he felt like it was really inspiring. So he wanted the other lawyers in his firm. Yeah, so it's pretty cool. I mean, not that you should do it for that reason.
Yeah. Although I wouldn't turn it down for that reason. So, and I've always wanted to do it, and I love the idea of practicing better storytelling for sure. Right. I mean, I don't think I'd never be perfect at anything I do. So I'm always willing to practice as much as I possibly can.
I agree 100%.
I'm not even perfect at sleeping, and I take drugs for that. So, I just I'm like, I need to just practice the whole thing. I take drugs, and I have a machine that goes over. I got it all, and I'm still not a
You
perfect
got it
sleeper.
all.
Yeah.